You stole it, didn't you? You've been planning this since the day you trapped my son. The words hit like ice water. Tara stood frozen in the marble foyer of the Whitmore estate, 30 pairs of eyes boring into her back. Behind her, the charity gala continued, crystal champagne flutes clinking, designer gowns rustling, old money laughing. In front of her, Patricia Whitmore stood with her hand dramatically pressed to her bare throat, her face contorted in manufactured anguish. The sapphire and diamond necklace was gone. $200,000 worth of family heirloom vanished from Patricia's neck sometime between cocktail hour and dinner. And every single person in that room knew exactly who Patricia was accusing. My name is Tara Mitchell Whitmore, and I was 28 years old the night my life exploded. I'd spent 3 years trying to be the daughter-in-law Patricia Whitmore could accept. 3 years of biting my tongue at her casual comments about my urban background. Her surprise that I spoke so well. Her concern that my dark skin would make future grandchildren complicated. 3 years of watching my husband Marcus pretend not to hear when his mother asked if I was sure about wearing my natural hair to family functions. But that night, standing accused of theft in front of Boston's elite, I finally understood. Patricia Whitmore hadn't been trying to accept me. She'd been waiting for her moment to destroy me. Mrs. Whitmore, I didn't take your necklace. Tara's voice came out steadier than she felt. I haven't been near you all evening. Haven't you? Patricia's blue eyes glittered with something that looked almost like triumph. You were asking about it earlier, commenting on how beautiful it was. How much it must be worth. That was true. Tara had admired the necklace during photos, the way any normal person would compliment another's jewelry. But now, in Patricia's mouth, that innocent comment became evidence of premeditation. Marcus stepped forward, his lawyer instincts finally kicking in. Mom, that's ridiculous. Tara wouldn't she? Patricia turned to her son, and Tara saw the calculated performance in every gesture. Darling, I know you love her, but you have to face facts. She came from nothing. Her mother cleaned houses for a living. She sees all of this. Patricia gestured at the opulent surroundings. And she wants it. Can you blame her for taking an opportunity? The room had gone silent. Tara could feel the judgment settling over her like a shroud. She recognized the faces around her, wealthy donors to Marcus's law firm, Patricia's country club friends, the same people who'd smiled to her face while whispering behind her back for 3 years. I think we should call the police. Patricia's sister Diane spoke up, her voice dripping with false concern. For Tara's sake, really. To clear her name. Yes, Patricia agreed, pulling out her phone with theatrical reluctance. I hate to do this, but that necklace has been in the Whitmore family for 4 generations. I simply can't let it disappear without at least filing a report. Tara's chest tightened. She'd seen enough crime dramas to know how this would play. Black woman, wealthy white family, missing expensive jewelry. It didn't matter that she had her own successful career as an architect. It didn't matter that she'd never stolen anything in her life. The narrative was already written. Wait. A voice cut through the tension. Tara turned to see Marcus's younger sister Vanessa emerging from the crowd, her phone held up. Before anyone calls the police, you should know I've been live streaming this whole thing to my Instagram. 15,000 people just watched you accuse your daughter-in-law of being a thief based on absolutely zero evidence, except her complimenting your jewelry. Patricia's face went white. Vanessa, turn that off right now. Why? If Tara actually stole your necklace, you should want witnesses, right? Or, Vanessa's voice hardened. Are you more worried about how this looks? Wealthy white woman publicly accusing her black daughter-in-law of theft at a charity gala? The shift in the room was palpable. Suddenly, people were checking their own phones, murmuring to each other. In 2023, racism didn't just ruin reputations privately anymore. It went viral. Patricia lowered her phone, but her eyes remained fixed on Tara with pure hatred. Fine. No police tonight. But Tara, if my necklace doesn't turn up, we'll be having a very different conversation. The party dissolved after that. Guests making hasty exits, avoiding eye contact with Tara. Marcus tried to apologize, to explain, to somehow make it better. But Tara barely heard him. She was too busy replaying Patricia's face in her mind. That split second of triumph before the fake distress. The way she'd positioned herself to make sure the entire room could hear the accusation. This wasn't about a missing necklace. This was about making sure Tara knew her place. About reminding her that no matter how educated she became, no matter how successful, no matter that she'd legally taken the Whitmore name, she would never truly belong. What Patricia didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Tara had spent 3 years watching, learning, surviving in a family that saw her as temporary. She'd developed instincts, grown antennae for danger, and those instincts were screaming now that something was very, very wrong with this whole situation. The necklace hadn't just disappeared. Someone had taken it. And Tara had a sinking suspicion that whoever did had been counting on her being blamed. If you're invested in finding out what really happened that night and how Tara fought back, make sure you're subscribed because this story is just beginning. That night, lying awake beside Marcus in their brownstone across town, Tara made a decision. She wasn't going to wait for Patricia's next move. She wasn't going to be the passive victim in this story. If someone had set her up, she was going to find out who and why. Even if it meant tearing apart the perfect Whitmore family facade piece by piece. What she didn't know yet was that the truth about Patricia's missing necklace would destroy far more than just a reputation. It would expose secrets 3 years in the making, betray alliances she thought were solid, and force her to become someone she'd never imagined she could be. And it all started with a single decision the next morning when Tara walked into Patricia's home uninvited, looked her mother-in-law straight in the eye, and said the words that would change everything. Tara walked into the Whitmore estate at 9 the next morning without knocking. She found Patricia in the sunroom, surrounded by her usual morning court of wealthy friends, all sipping mimosas and picking at expensive pastries. "We need to talk, alone." Patricia looked up with practiced surprise, as if she hadn't heard Tara's car pull up. "Tara, darling, this really isn't a good time. I'm with the Beacon Hill Ladies Auxiliary Committee. I don't care if you're with the Pope, we're talking now." The other women exchanged glances. Patricia's smile tightened, but she stood gracefully. "Ladies, excuse me. Family matters." She led Tara into the adjacent study and closed the door. The mask dropped immediately. "How dare you show up here uninvited and make demands in front of my friends? How dare I? You accused me of being a thief in front of half of Boston last night. I stated facts. My necklace disappeared. You were the most obvious suspect." Patricia settled into a leather chair, crossing her legs with deliberate elegance. "If you have a problem with that, perhaps you should examine your own circumstances." "My circumstances? I'm an award-winning architect. I bought my first car with money I earned. Everything I have, I worked for. Yes, I'm aware of your little rags to riches story." How inspiring. Patricia's tone could have frozen fire. "But you married into the Whitmore family, Tara. That comes with scrutiny, especially when valuable items go missing." "The necklace didn't just go missing. Someone took it. And you immediately pointed at me without a shred of evidence." Patricia examined her manicured nails. "Evidence? You mean besides the fact that you were practically drooling over it during photos? Or that you have the most to gain from selling it? $200,000 would be quite the windfall for someone from your background." There it was again. Your background. The polite way Patricia said it, like she was talking about Tara's education or career experience, when they both knew she meant something else entirely. "I want you to publicly retract your accusation." Patricia laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "Absolutely not. In fact, I've been thinking perhaps we should involve the police after all. Vanessa's little livestream may have delayed things, but insurance companies require police reports. I'll be filing one this afternoon." Tara's stomach dropped. "You're actually going to press charges? Against your own daughter-in-law?" "You're only my daughter-in-law on paper, dear. You were never really family." Patricia stood, walking to the window that overlooked her manicured gardens. "Do you know what Marcus's father said when you two got engaged? He said, 'Let the boy get it out of his system. She's pretty enough for an affair, but he'll come to his senses eventually.'" The words hit like physical blows, but Tara refused to show it. "Marcus loves me. Marcus loves the idea of you. The rebellion of it. But love fades, Tara. And when it does, He'll see what we've seen all along. You don't belong here. Tara's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Mom's filing a police report. I tried to stop her. I'm sorry. He won't fight you on this, will he? Tara said quietly. When it comes down to choosing between his mother and his wife, he'll choose you. Patricia turned back with a smile that was all teeth. Marcus is a Whitmore. We don't air our dirty laundry in public, and we don't destroy family for outsiders. He'll support you privately, darling. But when I file that report, when the investigation begins, when his colleagues at the firm start asking questions, he'll protect the family name. He won't have a choice. She was right. Tara had seen it for 3 years. The way Marcus would pull her aside after family dinners to apologize for his mother's comments, instead of confronting Patricia directly. The way he'd ask her to just let it go. When Patricia made another dig about Tara's background. The way he'd chosen family peace over defending his wife again and again. This isn't about the necklace at all, is it? Tara asked. This is about getting rid of me. Finally, some clarity. Patricia moved to the door, opening it pointedly. You were a mistake from the beginning. An experiment in liberal thinking that went too far. But mistakes can be corrected, Tara, one way or another. Tara walked out of that house with her head high, but her hands were shaking so badly, she could barely grip her car keys. She sat in her BMW, a car she bought with her own money, in the circular driveway of a mansion that would never feel like home, and allowed herself exactly 60 seconds to fall apart. Then she pulled out her phone and started making calls. The first was to her mother, Grace Mitchell, who'd cleaned Patricia's house 15 years ago before Tara had even met Marcus. Mama, I need you to remember everything about the Whitmores. Everything you saw, everything you heard, everything that seemed off. The second was to her best friend Jasmine, an investigative journalist who'd been begging for years to write an expose on old money families and their dirty secrets. Jazz, remember how you said if I ever wanted to go to war with the Whitmores, you'd help me? I'm cashing in that offer. The third was to Vanessa, who answered on the first ring. She actually filed the report, didn't she? This afternoon. Tara, I'm so sorry. I tried to talk to Marcus, but I know. He's choosing his family. Tara took a breath. Vanessa, I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest. Has your mother ever done something like this before? Accused someone of stealing to get rid of them? There was a long pause. There was a housekeeper. About 4 years ago, before you and Marcus got engaged. Mom accused her of taking some silverware. The woman was arrested, lost her job, couldn't find work anywhere. Her family was destroyed. What happened to the silverware? It turned up 6 months later. Mom said it had been misplaced in storage. She never apologized, never reached out to the woman. Just ... moved on. Tara's blood ran cold. This was Patricia's pattern. Find a target, destroy them, and face no consequences. Did you know this when your mother accused me last night? No, I didn't remember until this morning. I was 14 when it happened. I didn't understand what it meant then. Vanessa's voice cracked. Tara, what are you going to do? I'm going to prove I didn't take that necklace. And then I'm going to find out who did. Tara started her car. Even if it destroys everything. What she didn't say, what she was only beginning to understand herself, was that proving her innocence wasn't enough anymore. Patricia Whitmore had declared war, had used the legal system and societal prejudice as weapons, and had counted on Tara being too afraid or too polite to fight back. But Tara had grown up watching her mother scrub toilets for families who didn't know her name. She'd fought for every scholarship, every internship, every promotion in a field dominated by men who looked like Marcus's father. She'd survived 3 years in a family that saw her as an intruder, a threat, a mistake to be corrected. Patricia had made one critical error. She'd assumed Tara was still that eager-to-please girl who'd walked into the Whitmore family desperately seeking approval. She hadn't noticed that girl had died somewhere around year 2 of microaggressions and casual cruelty, replaced by someone harder, sharper, and far more dangerous when cornered. The police report was filed at 2 p.m. By 2:30, a detective had called Tara's phone, asking her to come in for questioning. By 3, Marcus's law firm partners were asking for a brief conversation about the situation. By 5, Tara's largest client had emailed to say they were reconsidering her bid on their upcoming project. Patricia's machine was in motion, destroying Tara's reputation one careful cut at a time. And somewhere in the Whitmore estate, the woman who'd orchestrated it all was probably sipping wine and congratulating herself on a problem nearly solved. What Patricia didn't know was that Tara had spent the afternoon doing something far more productive than crying or begging. She'd been researching, planning, and making connections that would eventually unravel everything. Because if there was one thing Tara had learned from 3 years of surviving the Whitmores, it was this: wealthy families always have secrets. And secrets, when exposed to light, have a way of destroying everything they touch. The police interview took 2 hours. Detective Morrison was professional, almost sympathetic, but Tara could read between every carefully worded question. They'd already decided she was guilty. They just needed her to slip up and confirm it. Mrs. Whitmore says you seemed particularly interested in the necklace. That you asked several questions about its value. I complimented it. That's what people do at social events. She also mentioned financial difficulties, something about a business loan you'd applied for. Tara's jaw tightened. That loan was for expanding her architecture firm, and she'd been approved for it 3 weeks ago. But Patricia had twisted it into evidence of desperation. My finances are healthy, Detective. You're welcome to verify that. We will. Morrison closed his notepad. Just so you know, Mrs. Whitmore has already contacted her insurance company. They'll be conducting their own investigation. These things have a way of dragging on if the item isn't recovered quickly. Translation: this would haunt her for months, maybe years. Even if charges were never filed, the cloud of suspicion would follow her everywhere. Tara left the police station and drove straight to her mother's apartment in Dorchester. Grace Mitchell opened the door, already shaking her head. Baby girl, I've been thinking about what you asked. About the Whitmores and their secrets. Inside, Grace had covered her kitchen table with old photographs, newspaper clippings, and handwritten notes. I started cleaning for Patricia 20 years ago, right after her husband's firm made its first major deal. I was there 3 days a week for 5 years. What did you see? Grace pulled out a faded photograph of a younger Patricia at some charity event. That woman has always been obsessed with image. Every single thing in that house was about showing the world how perfect the Whitmores were. But I saw the cracks, baby. I saw them fighting about money more than once. Saw bills marked final notice, hidden in drawers. Saw her selling jewelry and telling people she was updating her collection. They had money problems? Back then, yes. Mr. Whitmore's firm was struggling. They were living off credit and family reputation. Grace pulled out another photo, this one showing Patricia with a woman Tara didn't recognize. Then suddenly, about 15 years ago, everything changed. Money started flowing. The firm landed huge contracts. Patricia went from selling her jewelry to buying more expensive pieces. What changed? I don't know. But I do know Patricia got real paranoid around that time. Started locking doors that used to be open, asking me to sign confidentiality agreements, questioning me about what I'd seen or heard. Grace met her daughter's eyes. 2 months after she got weird, she accused me of stealing a silver picture frame. She had no proof, but she spread rumors to every family in the neighborhood. I couldn't find work for 6 months. Tara's chest tightened. Mama, why didn't you tell me this when Marcus and I got engaged? Because you loved him. Because I thought maybe you'd be different, that you'd fit into that world better than I ever could. Grace took her hand. I was wrong. That family doesn't let people like us in. They just use us until they're done. The next morning, Tara met Jasmine at a coffee shop in Cambridge. Her best friend arrived with 2 laptops and an expression that meant she'd found something. I've been digging into the Whitmore family finances. Public records, property transfers, business filings. Jasmine pulled up a spreadsheet. 15 years ago, like your mom said, they were drowning. Then boom. Marcus's father's law firm suddenly represents 3 major development companies, all within 6 months. The retainer fees alone were enough to save them. How does a struggling firm suddenly land 3 major clients? That's the question. Jasmine clicked through several documents. But here's what's interesting. All three of those companies had projects that required city approval. Zoning changes, permit exceptions, that kind of thing. And guess who was on the city planning board 15 years ago? Tara's pulse quickened. Who? Patricia's brother, Richard Morrison. Morrison? As in Detective Morrison? His father. Retired now. But back then he had a lot of influence over which projects got approved. Jasmine leaned back. I can't prove anything, but it smells like pay to play. The firm represents the developers, gets them approvals through family connections. Everyone makes money. That was 15 years ago. What does it have to do with the necklace now? Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Jasmine pulled up another document. Here's what I do know. That necklace Patricia claims you stole? She had it appraised 3 months ago. The insurance value is $200,000, but the appraisal came in at only $75,000. Tara stared at the screen. She's overinsured by more than $100,000, which means if the necklace disappears and she files a claim, she makes a massive profit. Jasmine met her eyes. Tara, what if Patricia took her own necklace? What if this whole thing is insurance fraud, and you're just the convenient scapegoat? The idea was so audacious it took Tara's breath away. But it fit. Patricia's theatrical performance, the immediate accusation, the refusal to wait even a day before filing a police report. She'd needed Tara blamed quickly, before anyone could consider other possibilities. I need proof. I'm working on it. But Tara, if Patricia is committing insurance fraud, she won't back down easily. You're threatening a major payday and her entire reputation. Tara's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Can we talk? Please. They met at a neutral location, a park bench overlooking the Charles River. Marcus looked exhausted, his tie loosened, his normally perfect hair disheveled. The firm is putting me on temporary leave. They say it's voluntary to deal with family matters, but we both know what it really is. They think I'm guilty. They think my mother is a major donor, and you're my wife accused of felony theft. They're protecting their interests. Marcus rubbed his face. Tara, I don't think you stole the necklace. I know you didn't. But my mother is convinced, and she's got half of Boston society backing her up. So what are you saying? I'm saying maybe we should consider the possibility that the necklace is just ... gone. Maybe it fell off somewhere. Or maybe someone else at the party took it. If we focus on proving you didn't steal it, this could drag on for years. But if we just let it go, move on, maybe Mom will eventually drop it. Tara stared at her husband. You want me to let it go? Marcus, your mother accused me of being a thief in front of hundreds of people. She filed a police report. My clients are dropping me, and you want me to just ... Let it go? I want this to stop destroying our lives. Our lives? Or your life? Because from where I'm sitting, you still have your job, your family, your reputation. I'm the one being destroyed. Marcus stood, pacing. What do you want me to do, Tara? Accuse my own mother of lying? Turn my back on my family? I want you to stand up for your wife. I am? I told her I don't believe you took it. I told the firm they're being ridiculous. But there are limits to what I can do here. There it is. Tara stood too, facing him. The limit. The line you won't cross. And that line is always going to be your mother, isn't it? No matter what she does, no matter how she treats me, you'll choose her. That's not fair. Neither is expecting me to accept being called a thief to keep your family happy. Tara started walking away, then turned back. You know what's funny? For 3 years, I tried so hard to make your mother accept me. I changed my hair, my clothes, the way I spoke. I swallowed every insult and smiled through every microaggression. And none of it mattered, because she was never going to see me as anything but an outsider who didn't belong. Tara, I'm done trying to belong, Marcus. I'm done making myself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant for me. She met his eyes. Your mother wanted a war. She's going to get one. Vanessa called that evening. I found something. Can you come over without telling Marcus? They met at Vanessa's apartment in Back Bay. Marcus's sister had always been the rebel of the family, the one who'd actually welcomed Tara from day one. Now she looked nervous. clutching a folder to her chest. I went through Mom's home office while she was out. I know it's technically breaking and entering since I don't live there anymore, but I had to check something. Vanessa opened the folder. Remember how I said Mom accused that housekeeper of stealing 4 years ago? I found the police report she filed. And Tara, the dates are weird. Weird how? How? The housekeeper was accused of stealing silverware on March 15th. But Mom's credit card statement shows she bought an expensive plane ticket to the Cayman Islands on March 12th. She was gone for 4 days. Vanessa pulled out another document. And look at this. A bank statement from a Cayman account in her name. There's a deposit of $50,000 on March 14th. Tara's mind raced. She went to the Caymans to deposit money, and when she came back, she needed a cover story for where it came from. So she accused the housekeeper of stealing, filed an insurance claim, and pocketed the money. Vanessa finished. Tara, I think my mother has been doing this for years. Small amounts, different items, always blaming someone disposable. Staff, contractors, people who couldn't fight back. Until now. Until you. Vanessa hesitated. There's something else. I found correspondence between Mom and a jewelry appraiser. She's been systematically over-insuring her jewelry collection for the past decade. The necklace is just the biggest score yet. Tara looked at the documents spread across Vanessa's table. Pieces of a pattern that had been invisible until you knew to look for it. Patricia Whitmore wasn't just a bigoted mother-in-law. She was a career criminal who'd been using her social position and marginalized victims to cover her tracks for years. We need more evidence. Bank records, insurance claims, anything that proves the pattern. I might know someone who can help. Vanessa pulled out her phone. Mom's financial advisor. He's been with the family for 20 years, and I've always gotten the feeling he knows more than he lets on. If anyone has the full picture, it's him. They were building a case brick by brick, document by document. But Tara knew they were racing against time. Patricia's insurance claim was being processed, the police investigation was ongoing. And every day that passed, Tara's reputation crumbled a little more. What she needed now was patience, strategy, and the willingness to burn every bridge if it meant exposing the truth. Because Patricia Whitmore had made one crucial miscalculation. She'd assumed Tara would break under pressure, would run away or accept defeat like all her previous victims. But Tara wasn't running. She was preparing. And when she finally struck back, Patricia would discover that the biggest mistake wasn't underestimating Tara's innocence. It was underestimating her capacity for revenge. The financial advisor's name was Howard Chen, and he'd been managing Patricia's accounts since Marcus was in high school. When Vanessa arranged the meeting, he arrived at a downtown office building after hours, looking over his shoulder like he expected Patricia to materialize from the shadows. I should have come forward years ago. Howard spread files across the conference table, his hands shaking slightly. But the Whitmores are powerful, and I have a family to protect. When Vanessa told me what Patricia did to you, though, I couldn't stay silent anymore. The documents painted a devastating picture. Over 15 years, Patricia had filed 11 insurance claims for stolen jewelry. Always while employing someone she could blame. Housekeepers, caterers, personal assistants. The pattern was identical every time. Overinsure the item, stage a disappearance. Accuse the most vulnerable person in the room. Collect the payout. She's made almost $1 million. Tara felt sick. How did the insurance companies never catch on? She used different companies. Spaced the claims years apart. Never filed anything large enough to trigger a major investigation. Until now. Howard pulled out the most recent appraisal. The necklace was the biggest gamble yet, but I think she got overconfident. She assumed no one would dare challenge her. Where's the actual necklace? That's the thing. Howard leaned forward. I don't think it's actually missing. I think Patricia hid it and plans to find it after the insurance pays out. She's done it before. 3 of the previous items mysteriously turned up months later. After she'd already received the insurance money and moved it offshore. Jasmine had been recording everything. Howard, would you be willing to testify to this? Give a formal statement? If you can guarantee my family's protection, yes. Patricia has threatened people before. Nothing explicit, just implications about what happens to those who cross the Whitmores. We'll protect you. Tara's voice was steel. And we're going to end this. Tonight. The plan came together quickly. Jasmine would publish her investigation in the morning. But first, they needed Patricia's confession. They needed her to admit on record what she'd done, and Tara knew exactly how to get it. She called Marcus. I want to meet with your mother. Apologize, try to make peace. Can you arrange it? Marcus sounded relieved. Really? Tara, Thank you. I'll set it up for tonight. At the house. Perfect. But Marcus, I need you to be there too. As a witness to us reconciling. What Marcus didn't know was that Tara would be wearing a wire. That Vanessa would be in the next room with police officers Jasmine had connected them with, detectives from the Financial Crimes Unit who were very interested in Howard Chun's testimony. That this wasn't about reconciliation at all. Tara arrived at the Whitmore estate at 7. Patricia greeted her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, already performing for Marcus, who stood awkwardly in the foyer. Tara, darling. Marcus said he wanted to talk. I'm so glad you've come to your senses. Can we speak privately? What I need to say, it's difficult. Tara glanced at Marcus. But I'd like my husband present. As a witness. They moved to Patricia's study, the same room where she declared war weeks ago. Patricia settled into her chair like a queen on a throne, confidence radiating from every pore. She thought she'd won. Mrs. Whitmore, I've been thinking about the necklace. About what happened that night. Tara's voice was carefully contrite. I realize now how it must have looked. Me admiring such an expensive piece, asking questions about it. I understand why you suspected me. Patricia's smile widened. I'm so pleased you're being reasonable about this. But I need to know something. If I'm going to accept blame for this, for my reputation to be destroyed, I need to understand why. What did I do that made you hate me so much you'd accuse me of theft? Hate is a strong word, dear. Then what would you call it? Because we both know this isn't really about the necklace, is it? Tara leaned forward. You've wanted me gone since the day Marcus brought me home. So I'm asking, woman to woman, why couldn't you just let your son be happy? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Mom, Tara has a point. This has gone too far. Has it? Patricia's mask cracked slightly. Your father would be ashamed, Marcus. Watching you throw away the family reputation for someone who will never truly be one of us. Because she's black. Tara said it clearly, forcing Patricia to hear it. That's what you mean. That's what you've always meant. I mean, she's not our kind. She doesn't understand our world, our standards. Patricia's voice grew sharper. You think I don't see how you look at our life, Tara, like you've won some prize? My son, my family name, access to wealth you could never earn yourself. Is that why you framed me? To put me in my place? Framed? Patricia laughed. Darling, I didn't frame you. I simply pointed out the obvious. When expensive things go missing around certain people, one draws natural conclusions. Certain people. You mean poor people. Black people. Tara felt her anger rising but kept her voice level. Tell me, Mrs. Whitmore, is this the first time you've drawn these natural conclusions? Something flickered in Patricia's eyes. Wariness. I don't know what you mean. Sure you do. Like the housekeeper 4 years ago. The one you accused of stealing silverware. Tara watched Patricia's face drain of color. Or the caterer 6 years before that. Or the personal assistant before that. Should I keep going? Marcus straightened. Mom, what is she talking about? Your mother has been committing insurance fraud for 15 years. Tara pulled out her phone, showing him copies of Howard's documents. She overinsures her jewelry, hides it, accuses whoever's convenient, and collects the payout. She's made nearly $1 million. That's absurd. But Patricia's voice shook. Marcus, don't listen to her. She's desperate, making wild accusations. I have bank records, insurance claims, testimony from your financial advisor. Tara stood. And I have something else. Your necklace. The room went silent. Patricia's face transformed, rage replacing shock. What? I had someone search your house yesterday. With a warrant. Want to know where they found it? Tara let the moment stretch. In a safe deposit box at your bank. The one you thought no one knew about. Along with 3 other pieces you've previously reported stolen. Marcus looked between them. Comprehension dawning. The necklace never went missing. You hid it yourself. Marcus, sweetie, I can explain. You let me defend you. I put my marriage on the line. My career, everything. And you were lying the whole time. Marcus's voice cracked. Mom, how could you? The study door opened. 2 detectives walked in, Vanessa behind them. Patricia stood abruptly. You can't just barge in here. Mrs. Whitmore, I'm Detective Rodriguez, Financial Crimes Unit. We have a warrant for your arrest on 11 counts of insurance fraud, conspiracy, and filing false police reports. Patricia's perfect composure shattered. She looked at Marcus desperately. Don't let them do this. Call our lawyer. Marcus, please. I'm a lawyer, Mom. And what you did is indefensible. Marcus's face was pale, but his voice was steady. You destroyed innocent people. You almost destroyed my wife. She was never really your wife. She was a mistake, an embarrassment. Patricia lunged toward Tara, and the detectives had to restrain her. You think you've won? You think exposing me changes anything? You'll never be accepted in this world. Never. They'll always see you as the help's daughter who got lucky. Maybe. Tara's voice was calm as they handcuffed Patricia. But they'll see you as the desperate woman who committed fraud and blamed innocent people to cover it up. Wonder which reputation is worse? As they led Patricia out, she was still screaming, her careful facade completely destroyed. Diane and the other relatives who'd shown up, drawn by the commotion, watched in horror as their matriarch was taken away in handcuffs. Vanessa hugged Tara tightly. You did it. You actually did it. We did it. Tara looked at Marcus, who stood frozen in the middle of the study. Your brother's going to need support. This is going to get ugly. The news broke that night. Jasmine's article detailed everything. The frauds, the victims, the pattern of Patricia targeting vulnerable employees. By morning it had gone viral. Boston Society, the same people who'd watched Patricia accuse Tara without question, now scrambled to distance themselves from the Whitmore matriarch. The insurance companies filed criminal complaints. Howard's testimony was damning, and one by one, Patricia's previous victims came forward, adding their stories to the growing pile of evidence. The housekeeper whose life had been destroyed. The caterer who'd lost her business. The personal assistant who'd attempted suicide after being blacklisted. Patricia's bail was set at $500,000. Marcus paid it, but he didn't speak to his mother. The family dynasty she'd fought so hard to protect crumbled, as sponsors dropped the Whitmore name, as social invitations dried up, as whispers followed them everywhere. In the end, Patricia Whitmore wasn't destroyed by Tara's revenge. She was destroyed by her own arrogance, her certainty that she was untouchable, her belief that people like Tara could be victimized without consequence. If you're wondering how this all ends and what becomes of Tara and Marcus's marriage after everything, stay with us because the final chapter reveals the true cost of justice. But as Tara stood in the courthouse 3 months later, watching Patricia plead guilty to avoid a trial, she realized something profound. This had never been about the necklace. Not really. It had been about Patricia's desperate need to maintain control, to keep the world exactly as she wanted it, with everyone in their proper place. And when someone finally refused to stay in the place Patricia had assigned them, refused to be silent and small and grateful, the entire carefully constructed facade had collapsed. The judge's sentencing would come next week. But Tara already knew the real verdict had been delivered the moment Patricia's handcuffs clicked shut. Justice, it turned out, didn't always come from courtrooms. Sometimes it came from refusing to be the villain in someone else's story. Patricia Whitmore received 4 years in federal prison and was ordered to pay back $1.2 million in fraudulent insurance claims. Her lawyer argued for probation, citing her age and standing in the community. The judge wasn't impressed. Mrs. Whitmore systematically destroyed the lives of 11 people, targeting those she deemed powerless specifically because she believed they couldn't fight back. This court sees no reason for leniency. Tara watched from the gallery as Patricia was led away. No tears, no dramatic outburst this time. Just a woman finally facing consequences she'd spent 15 years believing would never come. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Tara had prepared a statement with Jasmine's help. Patricia Whitmore's crimes weren't just about money. They were about power, about using privilege as a weapon against people she saw as beneath her. I'm grateful to everyone who came forward to tell their truth, and I hope this sends a message that no one, regardless of their social standing, is above the law. The housekeeper Patricia had accused 4 years ago stood beside Tara, finally vindicated. So did 2 other victims who'd been too afraid to speak up until now. Their collective voice drowned out any remaining sympathy for Patricia Whitmore. The civil suits came next. Each victim sued for damages, lost wages, emotional distress. The Whitmore fortune, already strained by legal fees, couldn't withstand the onslaught. The Beacon Hill house went up for sale. Patricia's jewelry collection, the real pieces and the fraudulent insurance payouts, were liquidated to pay settlements. Marcus and Tara's marriage didn't survive, but not for the reasons anyone expected. 3 weeks after Patricia's sentencing, Marcus came to the apartment they'd once shared. I need to apologize. Not just for not believing you, but for 3 years of asking you to make yourself smaller. For every time I chose peace over defending you. For not seeing what my mother was doing until it was almost too late. I know you're sorry, Marcus, but it's not enough, is it? He sat down heavily. I loved you, Tara, I still do. But I spent our entire marriage trying to fit you into my world, instead of building a new world with you. And when it mattered most, I chose my family's comfort over your safety. Tara had thought about this conversation for weeks. You're a good person, Marcus. But you'll always be a Whitmore first. That's not wrong. It's just who you are. And I can't spend my life waiting for you to choose me over them. They signed the divorce papers 2 months later. It was amicable. Sad but necessary. Marcus kept the firm, though his partners were still wary of the family scandal. Tara kept her freedom and something more valuable, proof that she'd been right to trust herself. Her architecture firm exploded after the trial. Clients who dropped her came crawling back with apologies she didn't accept. New clients, inspired by her story, lined up. Within 6 months, she'd expanded to 15 employees and opened a second office. Within a year, she'd won 3 major design awards. But the real satisfaction came from what she did with her platform. Tara started a foundation helping people wrongfully accused of crimes they didn't commit, particularly women of color targeted by those in power. She hired investigators, paid for lawyers, and provided support that no one had given her. Grace Mitchell attended every foundation event, beaming with pride. Remember when you were little, and I told you that people like us have to work twice as hard to get half as far? I remember. I was wrong. You didn't work twice as hard to get half as far. You worked twice as hard and got everything you deserved, plus everything they tried to take from you. Grace squeezed her hand. Your grandmother would be so proud. Vanessa remained close, the only Whitmore Tara still spoke to. She testified against her mother, a betrayal Patricia would never forgive. Mom sent me a letter from prison, Vanessa said over coffee one afternoon. She still thinks she's the victim. Still thinks you somehow orchestrated everything to destroy her. What did you write back? I didn't. Some people never see their own reflection clearly. Vanessa smiled sadly. But I see mine now. I spent years watching her target people and telling myself it wasn't that bad, that I was different from her. I wasn't. I was complicit through my silence. You spoke up when it mattered, only because you gave me the courage to. Vanessa raised her cup. To women who refused to stay silent, Howard Chun found new clients after his testimony. People who valued his integrity over his connections to old money. The other victims of Patricia's schemes slowly rebuilt their lives. Some more successfully than others, but all of them finally vindicated. And Patricia? She served every day of her sentence in a medium security facility in Pennsylvania, far from Boston society and the world she'd once commanded. Her requests for early release were repeatedly denied. Fellow inmates, learning what she'd done, made sure she understood what it felt like to be targeted by those around her. 3 years after Patricia's sentencing, Tara stood at a podium accepting a humanitarian award for her foundation's work. The ballroom was full. but not with old money families and country club friends. It was filled with the people she'd helped, the lives she'd changed, the victims who'd found their voices. Patricia Whitmore tried to destroy me because she saw me as disposable. Because she believed my race, my background, my mother's profession made me someone who didn't matter, who wouldn't fight back, who would quietly disappear. Tara looked out at the audience. She was wrong about all of it, and the greatest revenge I could take wasn't seeing her imprisoned, though that helped. It was building something beautiful from the ashes of her cruelty. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. In the front row, Grace Mitchell cried happy tears. Beside her, Jasmine and Vanessa cheered. And somewhere in Pennsylvania, in a small cell with concrete walls, Patricia Whitmore probably heard about the award and understood, finally, that she hadn't destroyed Tara Mitchell. She'd created her. 5 years after the accusation that had nearly destroyed her life, Tara returned to Beacon Hill for the first time. The Whitmore estate had been sold to a tech entrepreneur who'd filled it with art from emerging Black artists. The new owner, who'd followed the trial closely, invited Tara for a private tour. "I wanted you to see it," he said, showing her the sunroom where Patricia had once held court. "I wanted you to know that the space that tried to reject you now celebrates people like you." Tara stood in the marble foyer where she'd been accused, where her life had shattered. But the woman who'd stood there 5 years ago, desperate for acceptance, terrified of losing everything, was gone. In her place stood someone who'd learned that belonging wasn't something you earned from people who never wanted to give it. It was something you built for yourself. She thought about writing to Patricia, about telling her how the story ended. But that would give Patricia exactly what she'd always craved: importance, relevance, the center of someone else's story. Instead, Tara simply lived well, loved freely, and built an empire that Patricia's hatred had made possible. The greatest revenge, she'd discovered, wasn't destruction. It was indifference. Patricia Whitmore had tried to make Tara's race, her background, her mother's work into weapons. But Tara had transformed them into armor, into purpose, into power that no one could take away. And every person whose life Tara's foundation touched, every woman of color who saw her story and refused to stay silent, every victim who found the courage to fight back became living proof that Patricia's worldview was dying. Not because Tara had destroyed it, but because she built something better right over top of it. Years from now, when people remembered Patricia Whitmore at all, it wouldn't be for her society connections or her family name. It would be as a footnote in Tara Mitchell's story, the villain who underestimated the hero and paid the price for her arrogance. And that, Tara thought as she left the Whitmore estate for the last time, was justice more perfect than any prison sentence could ever be. If this story moved you, if you've ever been underestimated or dismissed because of where you came from, share it with someone who needs to hear that they're more powerful than anyone who's ever tried to diminish them. Your voice matters, your story matters, and no one has the right to make you feel otherwise.